Hello YouTube, Reverend Evan Sackett once again, and I've talked about this particular subject that I'm about to talk about in a lot of my other videos, and that subject is dreams and surrealism. I don't know about other people, but I do know that just about every night when I fall asleep and I have a dream, it is a dream of a reality that brings me a good feeling that I cannot describe. The best way that I've found to describe this reality is a type of timeless reality, because even though we say that time is the great healer, it also tears wounds open, because we as human beings do not adapt easily to change. Let's take for instance a man who has a wife and has two sons who are 3 and 6 years old. His sons are young, and although it may be tough to raise infants and they require non-stop care, he becomes adjusted to this. But what he doesn't realize is that his sons are going to grow up and that anything could happen to them at any given time. They could die, and what's he going to do when he has to deal with grief? What's he going to do if something happens to his wife? What is he going to do if he has a divorce? We simply do not adjust to change, and many of us suffer from nostalgia, which is a longing for the past. I can't tell you how many times I experience a strange sense of nostalgia, not necessarily for the past that did happen, but a longing for a past that never even happened. And I suffer extensively from a type of nostalgia and longing for the 1960s, because I was born in 1984, 15 years after the 1960s ended. And what I wouldn't give to be able to travel back in time and experience a little bit of the 1960s, to experience Woodstock, to experience the Manson family, to experience the Zodiac, to experience all those things that happened that I did not get to experience. And now I look back on our time right now, the 2000s, are going to be reflected back in the history books the same way as the 1960s are reflected back to us today. I mean, we have 9/11, we have George Bush, we have the Iraqi War. The Iraqi War is our Vietnam. 9/11 is our Pearl Harbor. George Bush is our Lyndon B. Johnson, our Richard Nixon. And it's essentially the same, the type of concept that everything is the same, yet everything is dramatically different, because history repeats itself. And the functionality of life and reality is very much like physics. Because in physics and mathematics, basic mathematics, there is an explanation for everything that happens. Everything has a reaction and an action and a cause and effect. Well, the fact of the matter is that the facts that make up life and make up reality and the things that we experience day in, day out are the same type of physical, mathematical properties that took place and take place in regular, everyday physics that we study about in college. And I'm in college myself studying criminal justice, and it really astonishes me the type of paths that reality and life itself follows, because people seem to follow the same pattern. As they grow up, they experience their lives, and sometimes I find myself asking questions that a lot of people probably don't ask themselves. As we grow up and we're raised and we see reality, we just come to accept things. Like when we see people getting married, we just come to accept, well, marriage is marriage. A job is a job. Succeeding in life is succeeding in life. But I have come to the point to where I've started to ask myself the question, why? Why do people get married? Why do they feel the need that they have to get married? Why do we need love? Why do we think that we need love? Can't we just go without it? I mean, why do we even try to do anything in our lives? Why not just lay around and do nothing? Why do we have the desire to succeed? Why do we want to succeed? Why do we want money? I know why we want money, so we can have great things, but why do we want great things? So we can be happy. Why do we want to be happy? I mean, I just found myself asking all these questions and trying to get myself back onto the point of the dreams. In those dreams that I have, reality is essentially the same as here, but it's different. It's timeless. And I've experienced dreams where it's like a part 1, part 2, part 3. One night I'll dream about being in my home and on my street, but in my dream it's different. Things are entirely different. And then in the next dream I'll travel a little bit further into town. I'll go places that I've gone in my life in my dream, but things are different. And all I can recall from the dream is this feeling of fulfillment that I have. I feel as if I belong, and I'm at home, and I'm in the right place. I'm surrounded by the people that I want to be surrounded by. I'm tackling the conflicts that I want to tackle, and I long to find this sense of fulfillment that I lack right now in my life. And I wonder, is it possible to find this sense of fulfillment and to get to the root of what these dreams are and try to discover what the fuck it is that I'm trying to get to and trying to experience? Because what is this experience that I'm wanting to experience so bad? And it's very frustrating because all of us essentially do not enjoy the reality that we're in. I don't care if you're rich, if you're poor, if you've got a great paying job or no job at all. I mean, are we really happy with the reality that we're in? Because nothing seems to fill in the hole that we have in our lives. When we do make a lot of money or we do have accomplishment, and we go out on buy a yacht or go on a cruise or do this or do that, have sex, bang our girlfriends or wives, we essentially just end up asking ourselves, what's the kick of it? I mean, where is the spark? What are we doing to try to keep ourselves stabilized and keep our heads above water? And essentially that's the reason why so many people who have a lot of money end up working their asses off, because they could afford to just live and do nothing but have fun. But they probably already tried that, and they realize that that just does not have any sense of purpose. Because a lot of times people that have made a lot of money did not set out to do what they did just to make money. They set out to make a name for themselves. Because I don't care how rich you are, eventually you are going to die, and you cannot take anything that you have in this life with you in the afterlife. But what you can do is leave behind a legacy, and everyone wants to be remembered. And maybe that's what I'm trying to do. And when you're an independent artist like I am, you can call yourself successful at any time, but when do you call yourself successful? Of course, if I weren't an independent artist, I would consider myself successful when I became published and made a best-selling book. Well, I've already published my first book, Inferiority. I've written about 5, but that's the only one that's been professionally published. However, it was self-published, and the industry refers to self-publishing as vanity publishing, as if we self-publishers think that we are good enough to be published, but we've already been turned down by other publishers, which sometimes is the case and sometimes isn't. But my book is for sale on Amazon.com and has a 5-star rating. I would consider that successful, but I'm not rich. I have yet to make a dime off of any of the projects I've done. And as an independent artist, you will find, if you are an independent artist, that not only do you not make money, but your projects demand a great deal of your money. Take, for instance, a filmmaker. If a filmmaker wants to make a film, he's looking at an investment of at least $40,000 to $30,000. And that is the bare minimum required to make a quality motion picture. And it's insane, the cost of trying to maintain the projects that you want to do. But we don't do these projects because we want to make a lot of money. We're in it because we want to create, we want to produce, we want to make things that people are going to want to watch and read. And I've had to stress the point that I am not a typical reverend. People get on to me saying, well, you cuss, you smoke, you drink. Well, I'm not your typical reverend. I preach the gospel of life and reality. I don't speak the gospel of you need to do this or you're going to burn in hell for all eternity. The people that are members of my church are members of various different religions. And we just get together and discuss not what should be done, or like other churches where people get together and curse the world and say everybody needs to be more like us. We get together and say, what can we do to make things better? What can we do to make the world a better place? And I guess the conclusion of this tape is I hope to someday to discover that surrealism, that dream that I have every day. And I would welcome anyone who has similar dreams to please comment on this video, because I'd like to figure out what the fuck they're all about.